fighters after they launched a three-pronged assault on the city of Maiduguri. Authorities say at least 200 people were killed. The fighters were trying to seize an Air Force base. Later, fighters attacked the town of Monguno. Well, meanwhile, the US Secretary of State has met the Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan ahead of next month's election. John Kerry is calling on the main presidential candidates to accept the results of upcoming elections in February without the threat of violence. A dispute over Jonathan's election 4 years ago triggered riots in which an estimated 800 people died.
Given the stakes, it's absolutely critical that these elections be conducted peacefully, that they are credible, transparent, and accountable, so that the people of Nigeria can have faith, and the world can have faith in the government that flows from it.
And covering events for us from the Nigerian capital, Abuja.
Well, it's hugely significant. It's a public display, if you like, of Washington's concerns about a peaceful election, a free election, a fair election, a credible election. And those were the words being used by Kerry as he met the main presidential candidates, the incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan and the main opposition leader, Muhammadu Buhari. He said that it was important for faith to be restored. Those were his words. The public's faith in the Nigerian government and the international community's faith. He warned politicians who are inciting violence or propagating hate speech that they would be banned from visiting the US. He also talked about the need for Nigeria as Africa's most populous nation and most economically rich nation, the biggest economy in Africa, to set a new standard in its democracy. Now, Felicity, this is all coming against the backdrop of the violence, which we'll get into, but also remember the fact that to many people, peace here is so significant just because of the fact that it's such a key player in the region. So the leaders are taking on the message that came from Secretary Kerry just last week. Prior to his visit, the main contenders signed a peace accord where they vowed to campaign on issues, not other issues, and to focus on policies and not to propagate hate speech or violence in any of their statements, in any of their campaigning. The question obviously now is, will their supporters heed that message that this has to be a peaceful election?
Well, as you say, another attack by Boko Haram in Maiduguri. What does this also say about the army's efforts to try to tackle the armed group?
Well, the truth is, Felicity, opinion is divided about the effectiveness of the military in prosecuting this war. On the one hand, you have the military, you have the government constantly putting out information, saying that they're winning the war against Boko Haram, saying that the military is being equipped with new weapons, saying that Boko Haram have been repelled and driven out, talking about today specifically in Maiduguri, towards the end of the day here now. Speaking to an eyewitness on the ground, he was saying it's now peaceful, that soldiers have been jubilating the fact that they've driven out the insurgents. But then on the other hand, very briefly, you have these constant reports, you have NGOs saying thousands, hundreds have been killed. So it's incredibly difficult to verify independently what is accurate coming out in this story.
Yvonne and Dege, thank you.